Walking Dead. We are coming back somewhat like zombies, and we are going to talk some news tonight. We're going to talk about the Walking Dead trailer for the new season. We're going to talk about the Fear the Walking Dead trailer. And Aaron, you were at both panels at San Diego Comic-Con for both shows, weren't you?
Somehow I managed to pull this off, yes.
So we will talk about those in some detail as well. But before we do that, welcome to the show, Craig.
Thank you.
You are the host of, and I want to make sure that the name here correct, so correct me if I'm wrong, but the Auto Chat podcast?
Yeah, we started it, I guess, earlier this year. We're on episode 14. We're starting right now, and it's been great. It's about cars. It's you don't have to be a car nut to love it, but it's been a lot of fun. It's clean to lyrics, too, just like you guys, so family-friendly and very entertaining. So thank you. Yes, good to be here, though. I love The Walking Dead.
And you've done some behind-the-scenes stuff for us before, written some articles and stuff, so we're happy to have you aboard, sir.
Great.
So, with Comic-Con, just like every year, they released a trailer for the new season of The Walking Dead. This one clocked in at 4 minutes and 11 seconds, and you can check all these out on YouTube or other video services. They're very easy to find. AMC's very nice that way, and putting it out at the same time for everybody in the world, not just those at Hall H and Comic-Con. So, we start with Rick running down the road by himself, and there's some voiceover discussion of can you come back from what you've done, a subject we've come back to many times on The Walking Dead. We see some shots from the season finale and maybe like the next scenes that come right after them. I don't know if they would have filmed them last year or if they just filmed them very close so they can pick up right where they left off. But Morgan says to Rick that we're both killers. We see various shots of the aftermath of the season finale with all the blood and people still screaming and upset, and Rick and Morgan getting to see each other again, all that kind of stuff. We hear voiceover from Rick saying the Alexandrians just don't get it and they can't take chances anymore, and Morgan replies, and you shouldn't.
I guess my main curiosity right now with this, obviously the trailer and details we filmed and what have you is just, what role Morgan's going to be playing. Like, following the actions that Rick took in the season finale, where does Morgan stand? It seems like he's, on Rick's side because he, traveled everywhere he needed to go to find Rick. But what's his role going to be in this season?
What's his role and what's his mental state, especially after the last time we saw him pre-last season?
He seems pretty level-headed.
He seems very level-headed, but we've seen in the past that he's not always that way. So it is something that I keep in mind there.
Well, I'm thinking that the time we saw Morgan before, you're referring to Clear, right?
Yes.
With Clear, I have a feeling that basically his run-in with Rick and then Rick leaving and taking off, I think that was kind of a turning point. I think that was an eye-opener, and he started to get it together. My question is it seems like he has become an all-around 110% badass, and, what has happened that has got him to that point?
It was Jedi.
I mean, I'm wondering, did he train somewhere, with a group of people, or what happened? So,
were there a lot of montages?
Because he went from, suburbanite father and widower to a zombie wife to crazy out of his head in Clear, and now he is basically Rambo. So.
I'm sure they're going to explore his backstory a little bit. They're going to have to. And maybe play it out over a few episodes, maybe some flashbacks or something like that. But, I'll maybe wait to the end when you go through your synopsis of this. But it seems like they cut this like a sneak preview or, Comic-Con trailer. They cut it a little bit funny, like they're putting Rick and Morgan at odds, but I don't know if that's really going to be the case. So maybe I'll let you finish, and then I can kind of give you my full thoughts on that.
I totally get what you're saying. There's a lot of things in this trailer. I was like, oh, that's interesting, but at the same time, I know how trailers are edited, and I don't know that what we are seeing is what we actually think we're seeing.
Well, yeah, obviously. And I think and it seems like, as usual, this is probably like for the first 3 episodes maybe that's pulling stuff from, so it's...
That sounds about right to me, sure.
That generally seems to be the case with Walking Dead trailers, but obviously, we just have to speculate right now.
And I think AMC and The Walking Dead missed a little bit of an opportunity here, although they have Fear the Walking Dead coming this summer. But, I always enjoyed, between season 1 and 2 and season 2 and 3, they had those webisodes, Greg Nicotero did and all that stuff. I think that they really could have, got some more marketing buzz and more traffic to their site, more things going on if they were to have like maybe a little 6 to 8 webisode miniseries of what Morgan was doing during that time. Leave out anything that would be a spoiler for the season, but just give us some background there, so that we're not wasting some of the episode time for that.
I've got a few things to say. That one, there probably will be episode time for that, which I think would benefit whatever episode. But Greg Nicotero is the one that does those webisodes, and he's become like a prime director now when it comes to the series. Like he's involved a lot more heavily than he was in the first season. And the second one he was directing just a couple episodes. Now he's directing a good chunk of episodes.
But doesn't mean they couldn't get another director though.
No, it doesn't mean that. No, but also Walking Dead's the most popular show on TV, and it keeps exponentially growing every year. So I don't think they really need much more help in the way of traffic to get the site more popular.
Okay, Aaron, you're destroying my thinly veiled fog of trying to get them to give me more content when it's not during the season.
And yeah, there's Fear the. There's a whole other show now. They have to help the level. I was gonna say Nicotero's been a little busy working on Fear the Walking Dead probably, so he's a little tied up this summer.
So 2 things before I forget. One, we should have probably said at the beginning, but we're going to be discussing these trailers in detail and the Comic-Con panels in detail. So there's a chance of spoilers or the chance of just speculation that may end up being correct and then being spoiled. So if you don't want to know any of this, you might just want to skip this episode, and we'll see you when we come back around for Fear the Walking Dead very soon.
But Jerry's mind is being blown right now.
Yes, continuing on from there. I forget who said it. I had somebody saying who originally brought it up and said it'd be cool to see Morgan's backstory in webisode. I think that was Rich, and then Craig, you said it might be cool to see them in flashbacks in the season proper. I don't know that I need his backstory to see how he got from point B to point C so much, if that makes sense. I'm absolutely fine with him being in the position he's in, whatever it is, with the amount of time that's passed without getting that information. I kind of like him just being better now, or in whatever mental state he is now, because of time, because of Rick's discussion, and I don't know that I need to see all the stuff that he went through to get to where he is. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Oh yeah, and I'm not saying I want some in-depth 9-hour long expose on Morgan, but I don't know. I want more content. 16 episodes aren't enough. I want Walking Dead 48 out of the 52 weeks of the year.
Well, give the spin-off some time to take off, and maybe you'll get that.
If I'm gonna get like nonsense bearded governor episodes, it'd be nice to get like a brief flashback to whatever Morgan was doing in between going crazy and being a Zen master.
Sure.
But what if it's bearded eye-patched Morgan?
Well, then you're just saying things that make it better. Like,
we get this really cool shot. Well, I guess it's 2 shots, but first Rick fires his revolver into the air, and then we get this overhead shot, similar to shots we got last year with Rick up against the wall. But now he's up against the wall, and on the other side is a huge horde of zombies just pushing their way along like riders or like people in a long line at Comic-Con or something. It's just like this slow-moving wave of bodies, just inches away from them.
Good time to point out that in the panel, they explained that there was about 650 plus zombie extras used for this extended season premiere.
Wow.
Which is obviously a record, and that's a lot. Also,
speaking of which, you said extended season premiere. This one's 90 minutes.
This is going to be a 90-minute season premiere, yes.
Very cool. We get a town meeting inside one of the houses where Rick is saying we can make this work, we can stay safe, etc. And one of the townies is kind of incredulous and says, what, we're just supposed to fall in line behind you? And we get to see those cracks ever continuing to grow.
That townie is played by Ethan Embry, who has appeared in a number of kind of genre films lately, but they're probably best known as the lead actor in Can't Hardly Wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of new faces in this trailer, which we might get into later, but a lot of people I recognize, and quite a few who I didn't, which I was happy to see. We get a cool action shot of Rick sacking a walker, which I don't know if that's going to be played for comedy, but I laughed both times I watched the trailer, so we'll see. We see the groups raiding a facility of some sort under Rick's direction. They seem to be moving trucks around. It reminded me of the original Dawn of the Dead. It's unclear exactly what type of facility it is, or if it might even be that the Wolves facility from last year. We'll see. We see a red shirt get eaten, not surprisingly, but quite bloody. We see a bunch of new graves, and one of the townies asking how many of us have to die before we do something about this.
We have more and more townies now showing up in this, and that's great. But what I mean, I wonder if they're referring to the infighting that's going on inside the walls of Alexandria, or if it's the zombies they're talking about. Because I have a feeling we're going to see some more infighting going on at the beginning of the season.
Well,
I think the trailer implies infighting, but I don't know. Like I said, it's a trailer. They will play tricks on you.
I think it's more than likely that, given that we're still in Alexandria, we haven't really. The show seems to be pretty dedicated to wanting to, portray the life of living in Alexandria, which, is where the second half of last season, basically
Right.
last third of last season kind of went. And I mean, it just makes sense, I would say. I mean, something I like about that part of the last season in Alexandria is that I actually felt like I was getting to know the town, and so I'd like to explore more of the town. I mean, that was one of the problems with Woodbury, where I didn't feel like I knew Woodbury that much. I just knew like some key players. This seems like it wants to really emphasize Rick's group versus the Alexandria group. And I mean, from what I'm seeing, it's only speculation or whatever. It does feel like I'm getting that. I'm going to get more. Obviously, there'll be Walker stuff, but there'll be a lot more else. Just infighting, as you're calling it.
Yeah, I definitely see some factions forming. I mean, like the Deanna group, the old people that want to stay with her, and then people that they want to follow Rick. And they're trying to. I mean, and the trailer was definitely creatively edited to create kind of this conflict. They use certain words. We're going to follow you or something. And it's they're setting it up that way. Whether it turns out that way or not, we don't know. We'll see.
I mean, that's like the poster too. Like it's like Rick at his side, and the other side is Alexandria. Like it's really this kind of face-off side of.
I think that was very deliberate. I think that was very deliberate. That poster, they set it off that way. Yeah.
Wait, you're saying the face-off technology exists in the Walking Dead universe?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Andrew Lincoln's going to go into face-off machine. He's going to become Morgan.
Oh, nice.
And that's going to be the twist. If he was Morgan all
Come
along.
on, Nicolas Cage.
Hey, which one becomes John Travolta?
Carl.
It's Daryl.
What?
Where?
So one line
Coral.
that definitely doesn't seem ambiguous and doesn't seem like it's taken out of context is Jesse's older son, whose name I forget, telling her that Rick is dangerous. That one seems pretty on the nose. And then we see Daryl and Rick disagreeing over whether the Alexandrians are ready, presumably for becoming more hardcore and going out on raids, that kind of stuff.
I hope to see more shipping between Rick and Daryl called Dick. That's
Morgan says, "I know Rick. I can stop him, and we have to." Again, more creative editing maybe, or is Morgan actively taking a role against Rick? We will see.
See, if we're dissecting this a little bit, if you look at that closely, Rick is wearing a blue shirt that's kind of rolled up at the sleeves on one of the other scenes. And if you look at that where Morgan says we can take him out, Rick is standing right there with his blue shirt. So it's like he wouldn't be talking. Morgan's probably talking about taking out a threat that's outside the town, or we can trust Rick, we can take them out or something. But they edited it like they're trying to take Rick out. It's kind of funny.
Well, if it's not Rick then, which I think is a very sound observation, who is the he then? Because that line didn't sound it to me. That sounded like the actual line. So do we have a new big bad? Do you think?
Is it Negan?
Or is it the leader of the wolves? Or is
Wolfpack,
it
yeah.
somebody
or
else?
someone else that's in Alexandria that's maybe trying to stir other things up besides Porch Dick, who's dead.
It's
Rest in peace.
Steve. We see Glenn telling Maggie that people are scared, which makes sense. We see Morgan counseling Diana on the state of the outside world, and you don't know what it's like out there. I do. I've been out there, that kind of thing. We see Carl and Enid hugging, because of course. We see the Horde approaching the gates of Alexandria. This seems to be probably before the earlier scene with them right outside the walls. Jesse tells a group of the townies that we have to fight or we're going to die, obviously. And then we see various shots of the people from the town hiding inside houses. Whether or not these are all from the same moment or from different moments kind of edited together, unclear, but it seems to be that the zombies may have breached the wall.
The biggest clue that I thought I saw, and this is just more of interpretation of anything, is that I think there's a shot of Enid where she's covered in goo and coming into the camp, and it makes me feel like that's like a flashback scene. We might learn more about what she is because we know that she's not from Alexandria. We know that.
Oh, that's interesting.
And so it makes me wonder if we're going to get a flashback there, and it maybe fuels possible speculation that she was from the wolves or something like that, given her
Right, which is a theory that's been around.
it's been around.
since
It seems
so.
like there's some subtle hints that maybe something's going on in that area.
Now, Jordan, when you said she was hugging Carl, I looked at it like she was hugging somebody else, and Carl was walking by and saw that.
The way it was shot
That's what
made
it
it
looked
look
like,
like
yeah.
that, but then when I paused, I'm pretty sure the person, you can't see the face of the person she's hugging, was wearing the same jacket he was wearing in the shot
Oh.
before that.
So he
I'm
took
pretty
Carl's
sure it's
jacket.
him.
That's more creative editing because it looked like the way they did it. Like Carl was mad that she was hugging somebody else, and now
Right.
okay.
I hope not, because I really don't
Whoever he
think
is, he
so,
took Carl's
teenage
jacket. He took Carl's jacket, then he took his woman.
This summer,
bastard.
Coral's back.
Carl Papa.
Jiggy Jar Jar do. We see some more probably creative edited scene of Rick or Morgan telling Rick to leave and never come back. If you do this, you can never return, that kind of thing. And then we have a shot of Rick saying, "You really think you can take this community from us?" Whether that's infighting, whether that's another group, not sure. Then we see a zombie carnage montage, which you would expect, and then we cut to the Walking Dead and the premiere date and all that kind of stuff. But then we have an after credit scene, just like the trailer last year. Last year was Beth.
Before that, there's one cool shot of Morgan using his staff to beat a zombie on the head, which was awesome. It just stuck out to me.
So we're gonna start calling him Little Bunny Fufu.
Sure, why not?
And at the end of the montage, Rick says something pretty cool.
Do you have any idea who you're talking to?
Yes, that.
I love Crazy Rick. That's it. He's back.
But even just his inflection from in that line, do you have any idea? It's the word talking. He inflects on that word in a very cool way.
He's a man.
So after the credits, we get some various shots of Daryl being taken hostage by some new faces, people we don't recognize. Again, wolves, somebody else, who knows? I didn't see W's on their foreheads, or didn't notice it at
I
least.
didn't really get a shot of him clearly in the again.
But they seem to be in kind of a more swampy type area, and there's this really cool swamp thing looking zombie walking around. That was a really cool design. That will probably be one of the hero zombies from at least an episode, if not two. But I thought that was pretty cool. So that's the trailer. What else do we want to get to from that trailer before we move on? What kind of overall thoughts do you have on it, gentlemen?
I mean, regardless of clever editing or what have you, to kind of fuel speculation of certain levels of anticipation or thoughts on what's going to happen, I do think The Walking Dead, regardless of my thoughts on the show in general, I think AMC always does a pretty good job of presenting a trailer for The Walking Dead.
Yes,
And
yes,
there's another good example of it.
The only thing I got from it is October's too far away.
And yes, I don't have that written down. What is the premiere date for the season?
Isn't it
October
the 11th? Yeah.
October 11th.
Yeah.
10, 11, 15. Very cool. Craig, did you say you had some overall thoughts, or did you already get to them?
No, the overall thoughts is the trailer was really good, really well put together. It created a lot of excitement. I mean, I showed it to a lot of my friends, people I know out there that watch The Walking Dead, and they loved it. They loved the action. They saw that Rick was just insane again, and the different cuts. It's just really setting us up for it looks like a good season, and the action is there. But you don't have to wait too long. Fear the Walking Dead will be there before, so there's something to tide us over at least before October.
Well, speaking of Fear the Walking Dead, we also had a trailer for that. It was 3 minutes and 8 seconds long, and it was a very different trailer than this one. I liked both of them, but they were definitely very different. They even had just a different aesthetic in general for the look of the show, I thought, which was nice. It's not just a carbon copy of The Walking Dead.
I think anything that the Fear the Walking Dead can do to separate itself from The Walking Dead is a good thing.
I think for the most part, I agree with you on that. Yeah, it needs to be its own thing.
I mean, obviously, it's set in the universe. I mean, obviously, I don't mean dramatic. It needs to be a fun comedy with a lot of color. That's what I was saying. But I think anything they can do to be a drama show set in this universe that is not, does not, completely remind you of The Walking Dead, I think is a good thing.
So we start with some, just generic shots of suburban life in LA. I believe it's LA, but California for sure.
It's LA.
It's LA. Yeah.
And we find out pretty quickly on that our main characters are in kind of a Brady Bunch situation. It's a blended family with older children, kind of high school age children, and both parents seem to be teachers or at least work at a school. And when they're checking in that day, in the trailer at least, they're told that lots of kids are out sick today, and make sure you get flu shots, that kind of stuff. We see one of the classes where the father of the Brady Bunch type family is teaching his class, and seems to be a literature class, and they're talking about Jack London. They're discussing survival and how Jack London's trying to teach us in his writing how not to die out in nature.
So I guess we're not going too far from the Walking Dead hits everything right on the nose aspect of the series.
Right.
We see some shots of what seems to be an abandoned church, I would say, or church-like building.
Yeah, like in Comic-Con they had a whole like church setup, so it seems like they really want to play with the church angle in this one.
And it seems to be a place where a lot of homeless have taken refuge. There's not anyone there except for one person who wakes up there kind of in a fright. They seem confused. We'll see them again later in the trailer. We have some more voiceover from the Jack London discussion about man versus nature and how nature can sometimes offer warmth and offer food, but nature always wins. That's because nature sucks. Just take note. Then we see the guy from the church run into the street and he gets hit by a car. And we find out it's one of the teacher's sons. And he seems to have seen walkers, but no one really believes him. And he's kind of, he saw blood and guts and people eating people, but everyone thinks he was just high. Hints of the outbreak start to emerge. Remember, this is taking place right at the beginning and before the zombies start to come out. We see traffic jams. There's a shot reminiscent of DayZ. Or not DayZ, am I saying that right?
World War Z?
World War Z. I knew that was Z. I expected a motorcycle or a truck to come and take the door off after the motorcycle went by, but it didn't. But that's a type of shot that's in a lot of zombie things, but most recently it reminds me of World War Z. We see some viral video of walkers that starts to spread. Some people believe it, some people don't. We see riots. Part of the family takes refuge in a store with the owners, and then we see kind of a montage of them hiding from everything. There's riots, there's police, there's walkers. We need to get away from here, one of the characters says. And then I believe it's the son who woke up in the church. His voiceover comes in at the very end of the trailer and says, "When civilization ends, it ends fast." And that's the trailer. Much shorter, 25% shorter than the main Walking Dead trailer. But I like this one. Like you guys said, it's a different feel. It definitely feels like its own thing. The zombies even look a little bit different. The way it's shot is very different, and nothing in it jumps out to me as, oh boy. Like you said, Aaron, it's a little on the nose with the man versus nature thing, but that also feels like a very pilot episode of TV show thing to do, and not necessarily in a bad way. Sometimes, especially in a pilot, you need to be a little bit on the nose to tell us exactly who these characters are, their motivations, where they're coming from. That
Yeah, no, I certainly don't think it is a bad thing. It's just more of it's reflective of the show proper. So
and AMC in general.
Yeah.
I mean, Breaking Bad was pretty subtle. Mad Men had never been a subtle show ever, and Walking Dead certainly follows in its footsteps that way.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the trailer and what I'm seeing is, it's all very exciting. I mean, ever since finally getting details on this thing, I've been more and more excited because I've very much enjoyed the casting choices. I mean, mainly from Cliff Curtis and Kim Dick, because they're just solid character actors in general, and it's mostly a new. I think there's one character from Orange is the New Black is in here, Ruben Blades is in there. Like, there's some people that I know, but just in terms of kind of what I'm finally seeing, what we've been finally seeing after like the 2 years ago when this was first announced, I'm glad that it seems to be coming together as well as it should.
The name is still silly, but really that's
I'm trying not to talk about the name.
It's grown on me. I still don't really care for it all that much, but
it's still, if I think about it, it's silly, but otherwise, it's just the name of the show.
I'll probably just call it Fear. I just maybe want to say the whole thing. It was Fear.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. It's called Fear. Fear, and then you got The Walking Dead. It's separate. Two different things.
Fear with
I thought it was a great trailer. I really enjoyed it. The cast choices, like Aaron said, have been really, really solid. I'm a big fan of Kim Dickens. I love that show. I was at Deadwood back in the day. It's great. So that's right. So she really grabbed me from that one. When they said that, I was like, I'm totally on board. Cliff Curtis, seen him in a bunch of things. So I think they did some good cast choices. I like the showrunner too, Dave Erickson. I looked up his background a little bit. He did some stuff in, well, we shouldn't mention this, but Low Winter Sun, the show that kind of bombed on AMC with Lenny James. But he also had Sons of Anarchy under his belt as well. And we all know how great that show was. He described it. I was watching the panel a little bit before we started recording. This is going to be a quote unquote family drama. And Aaron, you probably heard him say that when you were there at the panel. So it takes place during Rick's coma, so to speak. So it's they said Kirkman described it as this 4 to 5 weeks that Rick is in his coma. So between when the world is okay and then he wakes up 5 weeks later. So we're going to be in that world for at least he said the first season, sometime in that 4 to 5 week period. But even so, I mean, it's going to move probably a lot faster than The Walking Dead did in its first season. I can imagine.
It'd be hard to move slower.
Yeah, the Darabont days. I mean, it was pretty interesting back then. But I mean, if you watch the first season of The Walking Dead now, it's almost like wow, it's amazing. With the first and second season, how slow it moved compared to now. Yeah. But no, really great choices in the cast, and even Nicotero noted, I wrote here, it says he can't compare the two shows together. So they're really trying to separate The Walking Dead from Fear the Walking Dead. They made some choices with the makeup too. I was looking at that, where the zombies look more human. They don't look so decomposed. Fresher. Yeah, they don't look so beat up, and they look more real, more like the people. Just their eyes are a little bit messed up, and so it'd be harder to tell them apart. But the one thing I liked in the trailer was the cell phones still work. That was pretty cool. Like they worked for quite a while in the apocalypse. So they finally stopped working. It seems like they were talking on the phone a lot and texting each other and watching videos and stuff.
That makes sense.
Well, and that's the thing too. And I mean, I'm splitting hairs here, but that was what 2009 when the whole apocalypse first started.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Something like that. I mean, I know that was. I mean, when did the first iPhone come out? What, 2008, 2009?
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember it being so easy and so popular that people were looking at YouTube videos and all that stuff on their cell phones and things like that. As common as it makes it seem here, although it is California and everybody out there is rich. And
weirdly, my reaction to that is, well, there's a little movie called The Happening, and at one point they all look on their cell phones to see a man get eaten by lions on YouTube. That's the thought I have of a movie that came out around in 2009.
Also, I wonder how fast and loose they're going to play with when it happens. Because there's no dates in The Walking Dead really. The only thing I can think of that even comes close was in season 2 when they go into the high school. I think there's like a class of 2000 something banner hanging up. I think that's the only time they've ever given a specific date in there. So they might just be this is in the past, and it doesn't really matter whether it was 2009, 2010, or 2012.
Yeah, it seems like they can easily retcon.
Exactly.
Right. Like I said, I'm splitting hairs. I just, that was the only thing I was like, man, it seems like they're referencing it like it's today, and we know it's not.
One thing that dates the show, though, is the cars. I'm going to bring my car knowledge to it here a little bit. I mean, they had 2010 and 2011 Hyundais on Herschel's farm, so can't go pretty much before that. So you want to really date it.
I mean, Herschel's a huge island, so I'm just sure he's got an in with some concept designers and whatnot. So he's just got his thing going.
And let's not forget, like, even though now 6 years have passed in the real world of The Walking Dead, only like 2 have passed in Showtime. So they might just say 2 years ago and go with that.
Yeah.
But that's just speculation. But you mentioned the panel, Aaron, which you were there at, and Craig, you watched the video. So what did you take away from the panels for The Walking Dead and that you want to share with us?
Walking Dead panel, it's nice that so to back up, I've not been to a Walking Dead panel since the first season since before the first season started. It began in a smaller room before the show was a proven success, and they premiered the first trailer ever. And I was all for it. I was a huge comic fan of The Walking Dead. I was like, all right, cool. Now I got to see Darabont premiere the first ever trailer for The Walking Dead. Now Walking Dead's become one of the most popular things around, and so it's obviously now it's moved on to bigger rooms in Comic-Con Hall. It's now at Hall H, which is the largest room that holds 6,500 people, and many people line up to see something from The Walking Dead. So the fact that I got into this room was impressive. I mean, Comic-Con was proud of this year. I'll just sum it up as that. You can go out now with Aaron Nave if you want to listen to more about my experience with Comic-Con. We have a new episode talking all about it. But so being in a packed hall to see The Walking Dead, it was exciting. Like I was excited to see Walking Dead for the first time live in a panel for since 6 years ago. And seeing this group of people, it just continues to show me that Scott Gimple really knows what he's doing in terms of talking to audiences, whereas Darabont and Mazzara, right?
Mazzara. Yeah.
They're certainly very talented. They know how to do a show or whatnot to varying degrees. But Scott Gable seems like he's both a guy that has a good head on his shoulders in terms of how to run the show, as well as a good head on his shoulders of how to address the crowds of people and give them what they want without spoiling anything. And so that seemed to be very clear to me when watching him interact with Nicotero and Galen Hurd, and then the cast was there. I mean, so on the cast side, you had Lincoln, Reedus, Chandler Riggs, Denai, Elizabeth Bride, Steven Yeun, Lenny James, which was awesome. First time Comic-Con, I think, Lenny James, Michael Cudlitz, and Sasha. They all came out wearing Robert Kirkman t-shirts because he was not there. He got sick. So they're all walking out wearing literally. Robert Kirkman's got likes to make a lot of funny faces. So they had all these t-shirts that had his funny face screen printed right on there, which was
it's like an iron-on type shirt, like on the video.
Yeah. And they all, everyone just had a lot of fun, like on the panel. It helps that they had stuff to show, like they showed a gag reel for last season. And they showed the new trailer obviously twice actually because people wanted to see the trailer. And then you have Chris Hardwick moderating the whole thing. So he's Chris Hardwick, he does Talking Dead, so he knows how to talk to these guys. And Chris Hardwick's a staple at Comic-Con in terms of moderating panels, so people are happy to see him do his thing. In terms of highlight stuff for the Walking Dead portion, Reedus, you have people in the audience asking questions. So one person was dressed as Daryl. I specifically noted he looked like the Dallas Buyers Club version of Daryl. He was very skinny. But he had it all going. And then Reedus, he was getting a kick out of seeing himself on there. He tried to get a selfie from the stage, pointing at him with the guy in the background, which was pretty funny. He also said that he really loves Candy Crush. For those that wanted to know what Norman Reedus is up to when he's filming Walking Dead, he's making a Candy Crush. Let's see. Lauren Cohen wasn't there, but she's certainly one who she sent a text to Gimple for Steven Yeun to read. Layers to express how much love she has for the fans and everything. But really, it's just a good time. There wasn't too much to glean. There's jokes about Rick's beard, but
that was funny. They actually put that as a clip, I think, on AMC's YouTube channel and their website and everything. Yeah, it was like a 3-minute little video of him talking about the beard.
I want to back up to what you were saying at the beginning of your spiel there, Aaron, about The Walking Dead growing like it has 6 years ago. It was a small panel, and now it's Hall H, and people just line up, and it seems like the ratings of the show do the exact opposite of what most television shows do, and grow. And we've seen the show grow itself into what Scott Gimple now has created. Like you said, he definitely has a good head for running the show. Yet the news comes out today, and there are zero Emmy nominations for Walking Dead from season 5, and I find that kind of disappointing. Because I think there were some good performances that happened this past year in season 5 that should at least have gotten a nomination.
Don't most science fiction shows get snubbed at the Emmys? I mean, if we go back to Star Trek or any of the Battlestar or any of the shows in the last 20 years that had some good seasons and some good acting, and they always get snubbed at the Emmys because they're sci-fi or it's a different genre. Isn't that usually the case?
Game of Thrones is all over this list. American Horror Story is all over this. I know it's not sci-fi, but it's part of the sci-fi genre. There's a lot of genres.
It's a very slow kind of role for this kind of thing. Like Tatiana Maslany from Orphan Black got her first Emmy nomination, which
was the best news out of the whole thing.
She's giving 7 performances in one show, and it's very well deserved.
I think she should have also been nominated for Best Supporting Actress too, from one of the lesser clones.
As far as American Horror Story, it competes in the miniseries category, so I can understand why it gets in there. It's a weaker category in terms of qualifying. That said, I'm annoyed by the fact that American Horror Story kind of shoves itself in that way, so it can get some credit.
Right. I like American Horror Story, but I see what you're saying. I don't like the game they play of, it's a whole new miniseries.
Game of Thrones, if you want to get down to it, Game of Thrones is just a better show. That's what it is. I mean, in a lot of these shows that are nominated,
I don't disagree there, but I'm just saying as far as the fan following, just the growth of the property, the franchise, and everything else, and the fact that underlying, Game of Thrones is some awesome directing and acting and all that, and that's what's underlying with Walking Dead too. I mean, this is a show that a lot of people didn't think would work, and it's one of the best shows, or not best, but definitely highest rated shows on television as far as cable and whatnot. So it constantly blows ratings out of the water. It's just for it to get zero recognition, I was kind of
What about
surprised.
other categories? I mean, I didn't see the Emmy nominations. What about for makeup, special effects? I mean, did they at least get that, or they got nothing?
Nothing.
See, that's
Zero.
crazy. I mean, the makeup that's being done on this show, forget about the special effects CGI. That's probably fair, mediocre, baseline. But the makeup work that Nicotero's doing with his crew is amazing. I mean, this is movie quality. It's better than movie quality in a lot of cases, and it's getting snubbed at the Emmys. It's really crazy. I mean, Andrew Lincoln. Look, say what you will, the work he did last season definitely deserved an Emmy nomination. Even the season before that a little bit. Some of the stuff when he left the prison and all those kind of scenes. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, he should have got something.
If you want to get into it, there's a lot of technical awards that's been nominated for as far as Emmys go. As far as there's a lot of good actors, and I know Oscars better than Emmys. I don't know what the board is like in comparison as far as who it is that's on this board. If it's a bunch of old people that don't want to watch a zombie show or whatnot, I don't know what to say in that regard. But does it?
All I know is Melissa McBride deserves
That's supporting actress or something, right? Yeah.
For this last season, I mean, come on, psychotic homemaker Carol.
All I can say is I'm sure there's a lot of campaigning, and I'm sure there's a lot of effort put in to make that possible, but it just didn't happen. And there's a lot of qualified people in there, and at the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a shame. I would say maybe for Melissa McBride, I guess I would argue probably if I had to choose one cast member, because I just can't see the show getting too many Oscar Emmy nominations for the various performances. But yeah, I could have bad for Melissa McBride. But
And also, it's important to remember at the end of the day, Emmys don't mean anything.
They still have the best ratings around. I mean, they're still kicking the butt of every one of the shows you mentioned in ratings. So yeah, at the end of the day, who cares about the Emmy? Right? Still getting
Yeah, I mean, awards, whatever. I'm just saying that in a time where we're recognizing brilliance and talent like what we're seeing in this list, it's nothing from The Walking Dead. I like to see it get its recognition because it has broken a lot of barriers of things that you just didn't see on television before.
Fair enough.
So, Aaron, what about the Fear the Walking Dead panel?
Real quick before we get to the good one, they did announce that the 90-minute season premiere, the first screening is going to be at Madison Square Garden. So
I guess I'll be there.
Yeah, right. I'm sure they'll probably have to know Walking Dead contest or something like, when to Madison Square Garden, something like that. And Chris Hardwick's going to host here's a 2-second scene from next season, followed by us talking for an hour, reflecting on things that we already know. One of those kind of specials, a season 6 preview special that's on August 23rd. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Fear the Walking Dead. It comes from not being too as familiar with the cast or whatnot, so it's a little less chatty, a little more boilerplate, a little more like, hey, how'd you get involved in the show? What does it mean to you? And the answers are like, I read the script, it was great, and I saw it was successful, like that kind of answer. It's nothing really eye-opening in terms of what the show is, except for Dave Erickson, the showrunner, as I pointed out, and Elaine Herding, Nicotero being back there as well, and Dave Albert, he's an executive producer on both shows as well. They didn't have to say in terms of basically this is a show that's different from The Walking Dead, even though it's still within the same universe, and they want to make sure to emphasize the fact that it's a show about other things. Whereas something I like about Fear is that it is a show that's separate from the comic. Like they emphasize this as well, where it's like the Walking Dead has characters like Rick or Daryl that are, they're larger than life in some cases. They have their own complexities, but they are comic book characters, and they do kind of. I mean, Abraham is a very good representation of that right there, where he's a larger than life type character. The show, some of what they're saying is that they want to emphasize that these are characters that they don't have comic backgrounds. They're not going to be as larger than life. They're going to be characters that kind of ride not in a sense of gray in terms of morality, but have more issues to kind of go back and forth with, and some things to play around with because they don't have to stick to certain levels of canon or what have you. And so that excites me. There are no plans to make connect the two shows beyond the fact that they're in the same universe. I mean, one's in LA and one's in Georgia, so it's not as if they're going to be taking any car rides anytime soon. They're going to be cross country road trips.
Can we speculate on that though for like a minute? Sure. I mean, like, what would be a cool crossover? Like maybe, for example, a dead character like Andrea visiting LA on a business trip. Like she used to be a lawyer right in Georgia. So what's to stop her from maybe being in LA right before this happened and then flying back, or even some of the other characters perhaps? I mean, that could be a pretty cool way to bring some dead characters back. Maybe even the governor. Have him as what was his name again? Not Brian Harriet. The real name.
Blake,
Phil.
Blake.
Yeah,
Richard.
Right,
Richard
exactly.
Blake or
Philip
Blake.
Blake.
There you go.
Maybe having him as Philip Blake in LA in some office meeting or something, and just little cameos or something like that. It's possible. I mean, if it's before the apocalypse.
I think honestly the most likely way there would ever be in a crossover would be if Fear the Walking Dead doesn't catch on and only makes it a season or two. I could see them the next year having one of those characters show up on The Walking Dead proper, with just basically a story of I'm a survivor and the rest of my family died, but I made it and I've just been on the road ever since, and here I am. Like if there's some breakout character and that show just doesn't take off, that's how I could see it happening.
It'll go the other way. The character will go from Fear to The Walking Dead, not the other way. Not
I think that's more likely, yeah.
Okay.
But hopefully Fear the Walking Dead is awesome and catches on and is the next giant hit. So even in that case, it would be interesting to have in a season or two Fear the Walking Dead still be going on and a character from that show showing up on The Walking Dead, even if just briefly, but by themselves, and maybe missing an arm or something like that. Just something that makes them very different from where they are on Fear the Walking Dead, almost as a kind of a teaser of things to come.
So if a character disappears or something from Fear, then you don't see him for a while, then they appear on The Walking Dead in the future.
No, I'm saying they're still on Fear the Walking Dead.
They're still on.
And there's just
okay.
they don't give you the information of what came in between.
Huh.
That could be interesting. But that's just
There's
me
a lot of
as a fanboy. So anything else, gentlemen, we want to talk about before we close things out?
I can say Fear the Walking Dead premieres Sunday, August 23rd, which is the same day as that Walking Dead Season 6 special, so there's plenty of reasons to stick around for watching Walking Dead that night. It is a global premiere, so everyone will be able to watch Fear the Walking Dead at the exact same time. However that
That's
works.
good for you, Aaron.
Yeah.
You don't have to lament now and stay off Facebook like you did last time, right? When what was it, when Beth died?
Yeah, when AMC decided to spoil their own show. Yeah, I won't have to worry
That's
about
what it was.
that.
Right.
Yeah, that's happening. Hardwick announced that there's not going to be a Talking Dead for each episode of Fear the Walking Dead, but he will have one for the season finale, which is on October 4th, which is a week before the Walking Dead starts. So basically, we're going to get 14 weeks of Walking Dead, content in some of the summer. So,
Yes.
So that's a nice development right there. And yeah, I mean, in terms of the technical details, that's all I got.
So that means, of course, that we will be back to talk Fear the Walking Dead. We have a couple other things in the pipeline to maybe come out between now and then, but we just want to remind you guys we're still here, and we'll definitely be around to talk Fear the Walking Dead, and then The Walking Dead soon after that.
We still need to do All Out War Part 2 as well.
Yes, that's one of the things in the pipeline, and another thing that we'll be keeping secret for at least now. But so that's pretty much it. Unless anybody has anything else to add, Craig, it was very nice to have you on, and we'll be having you back on as we move into Fear the Walking Dead. Listeners, of course, you can contact us all the normal ways at WDTV Podcast on Twitter. WDTV at hhwlod.com is our email address. I don't have the phone number in front of me, but you can check out from any past episodes. It's also important to note that if you've heard any of the LODI's emails before, those no longer work. And so if you, for instance, want to send me an email, Jordan at Legion of Dudes doesn't work anymore, but Jordan at HHWLOD and pretty much all the other variations of that for the other hosts work now instead. So that's just a quick email update that's happened in the last couple of days. Other than that, so until there's no more room in hell in the dead walk the earth, remember, we'll be back in August, but probably before then too.
Bye.
Sorry, that was abrupt. Yeah, so turns out there weren't really